Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me on the launchpad for episode 2 of Project Moon in Rescaled Kerbin. And today I'm really advancing the frontier. I've decided to go straight ahead and launch 3 men into space with this very large looking launch vehicle. Well, not large in Kerbal's kind of standards, but compared to what I launched last time. Basically, I've dropped the solid boosters for this and gone for liquid fuel boosters because I said last time, well, Kerbal designs, they won't work. Then I realised, wait, Kerbal Space Program things always work. So, I've gone for kind of asparagus staging. The boosters drop 4 at a time, so they're kind of like a 2-stage booster thing. Because I've realised I'm probably going to be using at least liquid fuel boosters for my moon rocket, kind of maybe in a Falcon Heavy type setup. I'm not really sure. Oh, jeez, that's going to be hard, because it's going to be like a huge vehicle. But anyway, so I'm working on this, and this is a lot of fuel, and basically the bottom stage does a lot more on this so that I can have an efficient top stage. You'll see the top stage in a minute. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, so it is like 5 standard Rockomax fuel tanks at the core and 4 other tanks on each booster and things and all that fun stuff, and I'm using exclusively KW rocketry engines because I just need the extra power and the extra efficiency, and it's not cheating, I would say, because this is a realistic solar system thing, and in the real world we have much more efficient engines. Like they had to be neutered a bit in KSP just to make it a little bit harder, but well, the most efficient engine right now that isn't like Ion or something in the real world is the Merlin engine that Falcon 9 uses. It's made by SpaceX. Well, actually, for a very long time, I was watching Scott Manley saying something. I think that's where I heard it. That for a very long time, the Russian Vostok engines were the most efficient, but they were dethroned by the American engines, which is which is actually pretty cool, because if you think about it, well, actually, it'll have to be explained to you, because, I mean, most people probably don't process this kind of thing, but the 2 private companies in America, which are like, right now, supplying cargo to the International Space Station, are SpaceX and Orbital Sciences. SpaceX use the most efficient engines in the world, made by SpaceX, part designed by Elon Musk, the wonderful genius Werner von Braun, Henry Ford, just basically everything rolled into one. And then the Orbital Sciences, they use, I think they actually use something like the Vostok engines, so the second most efficient engines in the world. So I mean, it's a pretty good combination. I always talk about SpaceX, but I rarely talk about Orbital Sciences. They have their Cygnus spacecraft docked to the International Space Station right now. Yeah, so that's space news up to date. Yeah, so what's going on the screen right now? Kind of a fairly standard launch. I've left this 1x time accelerate, because I just like it, illustrating how it's a much longer launch path in the Rescaled Kerbin. But there's another launch in this episode which I have like cut up a bit, because I didn't want to leave 2 launches in. I don't want to be doing like half-hour episodes just around Kerbin. It seems a bit much. Yeah, I have solved some of my satellite problems, as you will see in like a few minutes. Well, actually quite a few minutes, because a launch takes quite a long time on Earth. And I think I can call this Earth because it's not really Kerbin, it's more like Earth. Okay, Earth no longer sounds like a word. Earth. 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 I'm going to do this for the next, like 12 minutes, just Earth. But no, I shall not do that. We are now in the main stage of our gravity turn, and the main core stage is propelling it faster than any core stage has ever propelled a rocket in this space organization. It is now over 3,000 meters a second. It is over 3,000! Doesn't really work when it's not 9,000. And now we're firing up the next stage, one of a very efficient... I heard that made no sense. One of a... No, what was I going to say? Okay, no. My sentence definitely wasn't about to go together, but what I was going to effectively say is the most efficient way I could do this. Basically, the only way this could be more efficient was to use, like, this 200 this 200 power engine. I needed more, so these are three 120 kilonewtons of thrust engines, all with 400 ISP in vacuum. Basically the most efficient way I could fathom to do this while keeping power up. I could have gone for an extra 10 delta V, but would have dropped about 160 kilonewtons of thrust or something about there. Yeah, and I am using MechJeb. I don't consider it an easy button, and in realistic solar system, it is the furthest thing from an easy button. I am just using it like I always use it, for the vessel info and the orbit info. And because this is a realistic space program, so computers control everything, although I am controlling this, and although I probably could do this as a live commentary series, I need to focus while launching these spacecraft. Often there's no audio in my or in parts of my videos because I've been listening, because I've been having to listen to something to keep it not dull. But in this, there is absolute focus, so you're probably hearing some kind of audio. Oh, you definitely will be, because I love the sound of these engines. I think it's something to do with the new game, KW Rocketry updating some stuff, but it is just an awesome sound. But anyway, the pod I'm actually launching is a little over 5 tons. So this is, yeah, my 5-ton launch vehicle. Probably won't get 5 tons to like a polar orbit, but you know, I'll see what it can do. I do work on something in different orbits, because if you saw my last episode, you'll notice that there was problems getting to different orbits. You needed to be going faster or something. A little complicated and confusing, but right now I'm just going for a equatorial orbit, or well, equatorial relative to Kerbin, or Earth, or whatever you want to call it. I might come up with my own name for this system, although maybe the developer should do that. Or maybe I should just keep calling it Kerbin. And you may notice just then this is called the Endeavour Mark III. It is called Endeavour because that's what I call most of my spacecraft, which go just to Kerbin orbit, and it is called Mark III because I accidentally hit 3, and because I've done loads of these, so this is probably about Mark III. One has already been launched, but that was a test launch and it was off camera. It was a secret mission by the secret... Crap, I haven't come up with a name. The Moon Corps. Yep, the Moon Corps. Yeah, I should come up with some kind of... No, I'm not going to go into a storytelling series. Yet. I don't know. I would have started... This isn't a very storyline-y thing. You'd have to come up with a better series, like, none spring to mind. The only one that sprung to mind was Macy Dean's thing, but, I mean... Yeah, he's got stuff going on, so that sucks. But yeah, maybe I could do something story-orientated. I was thinking actually of doing cinematic kind of battle-type things recently, or cinematic something, I don't know. But I really want to keep doing Rescaled Kerbin things because, oh crap, it's 8 minutes in, and I haven't done the thing I promised someone in a comment. After this moon thing, I want to put a station in orbit, suggested to me by Will Ferguson 123, I believe the 123. Yeah, he suggested it, and I completely forgot to give him credit in the last episode, and I felt kind of bad. But yeah, that was his idea, so maybe if you're watching this, thanks for that idea. Maybe you'd like to name the core of the space station? I don't know. If you want to name anything on a space station when I eventually put it up, comment, or if you would just like me to not embarrass you or whatever, that's fine. I just think it's really cool that I have that user interaction. The KSP community is pretty good. I was watching some people say it's one of the nicest gaming communities, so that's cool. So yeah, if you're watching and you want to name something on the station or something like that, then cool. That'll be fine. So you know, drop a comment or whatever. Anyway, yeah, so I actually cut out the engines there just to get closer to the apoaps because although it's probably not that much more efficient, I am going for maximum efficiency here and I don't want to screw anything up. And I have very little fuel left. This gets into orbit with almost no fuel in this stage. It is designed to be very purpose-built. As you can see, it's getting into orbit just there, and it's got like 2 liters of fuel, and I use a bit of that to circularize, and it was pretty perfect. Because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the moon rocket. Basically, if the first stage fails, like to get to the right altitude and velocity, absolutely screws up the mission. And if the second stage fails to get us completely into orbit, fail of the mission. And if the third stage fails to get us a moon encounter, fails the mission. And if the like Odyssey spacecraft, the main bit, fails to circularize around the moon, fail a mission. And if the either stages of the LEM aren't quite powerful enough, fail of a mission. And if anything goes wrong, everything goes wrong. Anyway, so as that detached, you can see my solar panels, batteries, and OMS pod, the orbital maneuvering system, which is just about 20 liters of fuel or so. I think it's 20 liters of fuel. Wait. Oh, I've got stage only on. I was looking at the resources. I was like, there's no fuel there. I was very confused. And a small engine for deorbiting and raising my orbit and stuff. It has a surprising amount of delta V in it, actually. That's all I need. I don't need anything big for deorbiting. And that stage... Anyway, yeah, that's done. So now this is my next rocket. This is an improvement on my last satellite rocket, launching a slightly heavier satellite and to a 45-degree orbit, or thereabouts. Yeah, so... Oh, jeez. What was I going to say? I had it... Oh, yeah, so my last launch vehicle was using only 1.25 meter parts and very little boosters. It's okay, and I could probably build on that and make that better, but it got a very small satellite into an equatorial orbit, and that's it. Whereas this is a little heavier, much heavier on the bottom stage. Top stage is about the same, but I'm using bigger boosters, bigger bottom stage, bigger engine, just freaking absolute power. Gives me a little more delta V, allows me to lift, I think the satellite's only about a half a ton, but I reckon into an equatorial orbit it could get 1, maybe 2 tons. Into a like an inclined orbit, it seems harder to. It is a slightly higher delta V requirement, so that would that won't be able to lift as much. I think this may be a little below the threshold, but it's just, you'll see it in a second. It has some pointless science lab on it. It was more kind of a test of lifting stuff, because eventually, well, fairly soon, maybe next episode I'll be... Oh, and I've just cut that out. There's no crossfade. Maybe I'll put that in. Hey, future me, put that in. Yeah, but I skipped that out because it's quite a long launch, and it was fairly similar to the last one. But anyway, now you join me, and I'm burning kind of on very low thrust, because I don't want to be forcing my apoaps around and just screwing things up, because I want it to be fairly equatorial. I do screw that up in a little bit, don't worry. There is always a screw up in a space mission. But anyway, I'm just kind of, like feathering the thrust, trying to get into an orbit, and I very will soon have a periaps. Okay, those were the right words, just not in the right order. Just don't judge me, it's late. Yeah, it's late, and yesterday I was recording a video. I think I was playing Hotline Miami or something. Just as a really fun game. Great game, might still do a video on it. I put the voice recorder on. I forgot to hit record on Fraps, and it was midnight, and I still had to do school the next day, and I didn't record, and I did like a half. It was, I felt bad after that. But anyway, that's pretty good. So I'm going to slightly raise my my apoaps even, on the other side, so that when I ditch the stage of the decoupler, it'll bring it down a bit, and it'll be a more circular orbit. However, I raise my apoaps to about 150 kilometers. I go in there, and I ditch the stage pointing prograde. So I screwed that up, but it doesn't matter too much. I mean, it's equatorial and not equatorial, not elliptical, circular enough. Yeah, go for equatorial, elliptical, but not circular. The word circular. Anyway, deploy the solar panels. That's all I need, and deploy the comms dish. And yeah, I have the science bay on there just for aesthetic reasons and kind of weight reasons, because I want to up the mass. Yeah. Oh, and what I was going to say before, I was going to say about my future plans for this is I want to keep doing things. Oh, and just on screen, I'm just testing delta V things. I don't know. Old me was thinking about stuff. But after I've done this and done the station, which I was talking about earlier, and then did the shout out and forgot I was going to say some other stuff, I want to do other things, like maybe a Juno rover, that kind of thing. Just kind of maybe replicate missions. Anyway, enough of that, and more to deorbiting this, because I need to test out the OMS pod, and I need to test out the landing. I would ideally land in water, because it is actually safer with this spacecraft. Landing in water is in fact safer. Oh, and I'll do a quick EVA, because well, you got to take a spacewalk. Yeah, but landing in water in real life is in fact much safer than landing on ground like Soyuz. Obviously, in Kerbal Space Program, some of the things are wrong. So if you land something fairly large very fast on ground, if there's anything below your pod, it might cushion your fall and you might survive. Whereas in the water, everything is destroyed. But in real life, you know, that doesn't happen. Anyway, we'll begin the deorbit burn. It will not take too much fuel. Maybe about a quarter of my fuel, so I'll bear that in mind in future when using this spacecraft, because I will be using it again, because I don't want to develop too many things. I want this to be fairly kind of, you know, a realistic series. Anyway, I'm going to cut ahead now, because this is a very long procedure getting down to the ground in the real world. So you will join me now when I'm on fire and everything is burning and it flips round and points the wrong way. Obviously I've turned deadly reentry off, or there would be no getting through the atmosphere. But anyway, I just thought I'd cut in here where it flips round and goes forward. I'm trying to turn around. You can see it's pulling about 10 Gs, just me slowly pulling up because I'm going so fast. And there's just... So I deployed that as a kind of a drag mechanism. Works very weirdly well because now I'm going upwards. My entry path was slightly steeper than usual, so now I'm rising up again. Rising up, back on the street, getting sued for doing lyrics. Anyway, and probably losing a lot of subscribers for hearing me. That wasn't singing, that was talking lyrics. Anyway, so after I got through that palaver, and luckily didn't need a heat shield because it was fine, I actually missed the ocean because I screwed some things up. So we're doing this Soyuz style. We're going to land in the desert. Very deep sand with Rescaled Kerbin because they screwed up some of the mesh things. I don't know. Anyway, let's warp down to the ground. I think this is at 2 times time accelerate in the video and 4 times in the game, so you're seeing it about differing between 2 times and 8 times time accelerate. Anyway, I do decide to slow myself slightly with what liquid fuel I have left because this is meant to land in water. If it lands in water, everything survives. If it lands on land, some things break. More realistic, you see. Anyway, you can see it's slightly in the ground. All the OMS is hidden under there and it's spinning on a dime. But yeah, I'll just get one of the kerbals out to demonstrate the depth of the sand. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying the deepness of the sand in the desert with Rescaled Kerbin. And I hope you're enjoying this series and such, and are looking forward to the things in the future. If you like this video, it would be awesome if you dropped a like. That'd help me out a lot for this series.